United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father, which art in heaven, dear Lord God, it's once again that we humbly come before your throne of grace to give your name the glory, the honor, and the praise for all of your many blessings extended towards the citizens of Dillon. Dear Lord God, we ask that you continuously bless our mayor, our city council, our city manager, our city attorney, and all the department heads on tonight as we gather together make decisions for the betterment of all the citizens of Dillon. And in everything we do, we pray you be careful to give your name the glory, your name the honor, and your name the praise. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Welcome everybody here this evening on this wet, damp night. We don't have a whole lot on the agenda, so maybe it won't take too long. We're glad to have you. I have a motion to approve the agenda. Motion. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? I have a motion to approve the minutes on the January 11th regular scheduled meeting. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And I'm going to quickly go down my list. Glenn, myself, Coach Hayes, Representative Hayes, Burt, a rep from DOT met a couple weeks ago in Glenn's office on the drain lines off Laurel Lane, Virginia Lane, Johnson Drive, in that area, trying to assess the situation before we decide on the route of what we're going to do. The DOT guy kind of, set reality in on what we can do, what we can't do, and what they aren't going to do more specifically. But he is going to bid out a camera, one that, and Bert, you chime in if I get off course here, but a camera much more in depth from the one y'all used.
Yes,
that
sir.
can do a lot more, that can look down all those lines. So the first step is we're going to contract that camera out probably 2 weeks and just survey all the lines in that area to see what the situation is. And we're talking about that in the next 2 months.
Hope to, yes, sir.
Bert and them had a camera and looked 20, 30, 40 feet, about as far as they could get. This one, DOT doesn't have the camera. They have to contract it out and understand they're paying for it too. So that's where we are on that. They also brought a Vector truck in. They had a Vector truck. They done cleaning out some lines and stuff to help us out. But that's where we are. I know back with the hurricane, some my neighborhood, the Johnson Drive neighborhood, the Circle neighborhood, all that area under water. I know they want us to look and see what can be done in those areas. So that's where we are.
So we actually started doing the cameras?
No.
Not yet. We got to come up with a list and a footage, and then DOT is going to take it and they got to put it out for bids and get a contractor to come in and do the work.
So what kind of time frame is that?
Well, I got Mitchell and myself. We got to get together and decide, what all we're going to video. And once we do that, hopefully, here in the next couple of weeks, then we'll get it, turned in and get it submitted, put out for bids.
For them to bid it, it will take 4 to 6 weeks once they get it out and bid it out. And then probably, I would think, depending on the contractor, early summer is when to start. They will start beginning video.
It's a good time too, because usually about June we get a drought and be able to get a good bid.
You got anything else on the digital sign uptown? We were looking at any bids on that yet?
The only thing we know is cost estimates anywhere from $25,000 to $35,000.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, we're looking at a digital sign to replace the one we have up there now beside the where the water fountain is. We have to manually go in and put those letters in. So that's what we're looking at. You'll notice uptown, you'll see the signs for the facade grants. I think all the facade money's now been claimed. I would think, right? Okay, that's good. It was listed in the Dillon Herald last week, probably 6 or so recipients of facade grants. A couple of them got a couple couple facade grants. I was talking to one owner of a building the other day, said he's spending $10,000. He appreciates the 3, the city's gonna reimburse him. So hopefully we'll see some work done on Main Street on the front of these buildings. So from a visual standpoint, things are looking up on the front. We'll see where they are about this time next month, where they start, and where they're going and how they're gonna wrap it up. Hopefully by summer, we'll see that completed on every one of them. Then we'll be into the next fiscal year to do the new facade grants.
Is everybody using the $3,000? I mean,
Well, we won't know until they turn their stuff.
so we talked about the last meeting, that that money goes back in the pot. Does somebody have an opportunity to try to get that money?
Depending on how quickly we know they're not gonna do it. I mean, last year we were fortunate enough to use a little bit of money that was left over during the budget year.
Right.
Because all the money that was spent, everybody didn't max out, so we had additional money. So we won't know until that's over with.
I think most of them this time is going to take advantage of the grant. Maybe before I forget, Beanie's son had an accident, what, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Beanie, you want to update us on that, how he's doing updates on their boy? I know it was a severe accident.
Yes, sir. He's actually doing well. He's been transferred from the McLeod's Hospital to what used to be the old McLeod House, Health South. Thank you, Health South. And he's actually doing fine. He's rehabbing good. We're looking, probably he should be out Wednesday or Thursday. But we thank the Lord for everybody's prayers for him, because that was a very bad accident.
Glad to hear.
Thank you.
The last meeting I brought up on the Harmon Park about maybe looking at a volleyball court on the old tennis court. I'd still like for y'all to keep that on your radar. If that's something that the council would like to go forward with. I don't think it's an expensive endeavor. It would be a big enhancement up there. The lights at the park. I know we had the tape around the poles that weren't working. Have those been replaced?
I haven't been back through, see, they've been called in, I'm not sure if they replaced those
I'll
or
check
not.
tonight going back.
They were doing the same time those on Main Street were done.
Bert, I guess your crew upgraded corners and remulched them. Looks very nice.
Yes, sir.
Father-daughter dance that we had along with Kiwanis Club and those at the city of the Wellness Center that helped put that on. Probably the biggest one yet. Y'all saw the pictures on Facebook. All the dads and the families showing their little girls dressed up that night going to the dance. I had a guy went out there that night. He told me Saturday morning he went out there to go walk and he got in there and couldn't get out. So he had to get directed to get out. They had so many cars at the Wellness Center. I saw a couple pictures of the place just jam-packed. Keith, you probably had to look into that. There's so many people in there. It's just probably the best event the city puts on.
They were pretty close.
What was it had to be? Just,
1,100 tickets were sold and the capacity is a little less than 1,200.
100 tickets, I think.
So, and dads don't go about it themselves. The tickets are just sold to the dads.
No. Whoever walks through the door.
Okay. You know, the other amazing thing is the next day at 10 o'clock, my grandkids had basketball games, and that place was spotless. You know, you would, I mean, other than a few balloons in the rafters, you'd not known that that had happened there the night before. Got great staff.
We do.
This is ongoing, but I'm gonna bring it up because I'm not gonna give any detail on it, specifics, because I don't really know it yet. But I know the city has stepped in at the theater and has supported the theater. I got bids for the carpet on that theater a year or two ago and started getting the theater board to look at enhancing the theater. Johnny, I talked to you about it on there. So we've just been bringing the theater up, trying to to bring recognition to it, that we need to upgrade the theater. I think the Scrooge production did a lot for that, bringing attention back to the Dillon County Theater. Anything can drop, but it's, you know, I feel 99% sure the theater's going to receive a sizable grant up to maybe $50,000 on a zero match for enhancing the theater, upgrading the carpet, the electrical systems, the air conditions, plumbing, and just stuff the theater needs. I saw the acceptance letter. There's a few conditions that we're going over. Doesn't look very stringent at all, but y'all know it's very seldom you get a grant with no match. So I want to let Johnny and Pat here, the theater, will give more detail on that once it is finalized here in probably the next 2 or 3 weeks. Where that's needed. A lot of other things going on around town. I'm not going to disclose yet. We met here on, there's a lot of activity or some on Albert Radford, around the port. Talked with Marlboro Electric Co-op fellow the other day, and I think what's going to dictate what comes around that port and around the port in Dillon County is going to be dictated a lot by Marlboro Electric Co-op. You know, they have a development team, and they kind of taken the lead on that from what I hear. But they're very aggressive. They have the as far as the development team, as far as their co-op, they're the best in the country from a revenue standpoint. So you can't get a better partner for industry in your area than Marlboro Electric Co-op. So, thank them and Duke Energy for all they do for our community. And Duke even in Anderson Brothers Bank helped sponsor the Chamber Banquet the other night. But that was very good. I don't think the Chamber, for all they do, give them credit with stepping up and just seeing that things get done and organized throughout our city. And that's all I have for now.
I'm gonna follow up with the meeting with DOT and the videoing process. We're picking areas that held water for more than a day. Those areas that had a lot of water but eventually drained off within the day of the hurricane or that night of the hurricane is not our biggest concern. It's where we had water standing for more than a day. But one of the areas that on this side of town that we're looking to do is off of First Avenue, South First Avenue, around our city shop and around the railroad track. We want to video those lines to see what they're like. Bert here in the last week has gone on the other side of the railroad track and cleaning out some of those ditches between the railroad track and 301. And hopefully in the future that'll help us there with heavy rains. But once again, it'll probably be early summer when they actually get to do that, depending on the timeline of the contract.
Well, make sure they put Harrison and First Avenue on that list. That area has a lot of water that stayed for a couple of days.
Or yeah, it did. Right, yeah.
Where that water drain from?
That one goes, we've got Harrison first. Does that go across the road one to the big canal? That's up behind Tim's place? So it,
Pretty good drainage down there, but I don't see no big drainage down there or something.
Where's that at?
Down there by J.D. Moore.
There's a little bit of drainage over there, but there's a lot of areas that it's just flat land, it's no drainage. You got a certain area, you got a certain area
Most
with
right
it,
there at the ball field there at
Fifth Avenue?
Martin
Oh,
Luther
yeah,
King there.
there's a little bit of drainage there, we'll check. I know what you're talking about.
I had put out before you, prior to the meeting, something I've been working on and didn't finish up till late last week after the packets went out. It's just something to think about in the future. We've talked about different incentives over the years on what we can do to attract new businesses or maybe keep existing businesses within the city, not just on Main Street. And I listed 5 incentives as something that we can consider. And some of it's for it's basically for new construction, where it's a new construction on a lot or new construction as an addition to an existing building. But one of the incentives would be to waive water and sewer tap fees for new construction. That cost could be as cheap as $1,100, or it could be as high as $5,000, depending on the size of the tap that they would require. Reduce building permits by 50%. Benny and I talked late last week and just threw out a number. If someone was building a $5 million project, it would save them, what was it, $5,000 in building permits. Reduce business license fee for a business when they open. They would pay 50% the first year, 75% the second year, and then after the second year, they'd go back whatever 100% of that would be. If it was a restaurant, the hospitality fee, pay 50% the first year, 75% the second year, and 100% thereafter. And then if it was a hotel, the local accommodation tax fee be the same thing, 50% first year, 75% second year, and 100% thereafter. I was talking with the folks with the town of Sherrall. They've got some of these same incentives, and said it's working good there for them. So it's something that we can think about, we can change, we can add, but just put something out there to discuss in the future. And if you have any questions, we can go back and look at it and bring more information back. I thought it was a start for those. Board of Architectural Review. Benny has 2 members that need to be appointed to the Architectural Review Board. He's short 2 to bring us to a total of 7. One is Jonathan McLeod, who is a general contractor, and the second one is Kenlin Bass Gordon. Is that correct?
Yes,
both of those have shown interest to be on this board and to appoint these folks to this board. We need confirmation by council.
Need a motion?
Yes, sir.
I make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Last month, and it was in your packet for tonight, we talked about police cars and possibility of purchasing 4 new police cars through Enterprise Leasing. After that meeting, Chief Lane and myself and Janet sat down, talked about let's look at what the banks could possibly offer. After we got that information, it's going to be really based on what you folks want to do, but I think Janet, myself, and David are in agreement that we recommend purchase these through the local banks and borrowing the money, just on the basis of at the end of the lease, if we keep the vehicles, we got $20,000 to pay out for 4 cars all total. If you add that $20,000 into their payment over 5 years, is, don't remember my notes, $4,000 or $5,000 more if we.
What would be the finance fee if you go with them?
With
If
Enterprise?
Yes.
I don't know that it broke it down what the interest rate was on it. It didn't break it down. Now
So we don't want the cars after 4 or 5 years. Is that how we're going to move them in our fleet, or?
well, that would be the
Which I
idea.
don't think it's a bad idea.
Well, it's not a bad idea, but do we have
That kind of revenue.
that kind of revenue every year to do that? Because that's what you would want to do,
Right.
is do it every year, not every 5 years.
Right.
You would want to do it every year, but, you know, that would be, and we'll just use this as an example, $28,000 for over 5 years for 4 cars that we buy this year.
How many cars do we have?
26,
So you're gonna have 7 times that.
yeah. You know,
So
and then you would continue that, yeah.
210. What's our payment a year? What's our payment a month gonna be on those vehicles?
7,000, no. What was it, David?
A month.
Well, 7,000 for each vehicle
What
a
is the
year.
A
Yeah.
7,000 per vehicle.
per vehicle, for a total of 28.7 a year for 4 vehicles.
Yeah, well, 7 times that
Yeah.
is, you know,
I think Enterprise's figures were about, when we were maxed out, it was gonna be about $170,000. Is that right? Does that sound about right?
I'm looking through this stuff that we've got that was a part of the packet. Let's see.
It may have been close, it may have been 200.
Seems like it'd be about 200.
240,000, I think is what it was. And we just-
If you look at your packet that was a part of your,
that'd be
That we gave you.
$196,000 a year for vehicles.
the first
Would
year,
that be right?
well, the first year they were
7.
proposing 9, which would be $51,000. The next year of 20, they proposed 8, which if you add those 8 to those 9, would take it to $99,000 a year. And then each year thereafter, 5, 6, 5, and 5, and it got up to as high as $236,000 that we would pay out a year.
That, of course, that does not include what they're set, because they're turning them, they're constantly
Yes.
turning them over. So you don't have, see, their whole deal is to keep your fleet new,
Right,
about no more than
Right.
5 years old. So that doesn't include money that should be, bringing back in.
What would we
But
be
we
saving?
still, we, all of us agreed that we just don't have that much revenue to do that.
What would we be saving? What are we spending on those cars maintaining them? Any idea on that?
They came up with a figure, but we don't know that it's.
We don't know that's a good
a
figure.
real good figure.
The Dodge Chargers, that's what we've spent a lot of money on that we will replace. The old Crown Vics, which are our oldest cars, really are less maintenance. But if we knew that we had the revenue each year over 10, 15 years to do this, it wouldn't be a bad idea. But after 5 years, if we don't have the revenue to do this, we're going to end up paying out more over 5 years than what we would if we just borrowed the money from the bank.
David, they've got the estimated annual mileage on these new vehicles of 25,000. Is that reasonable for what
No.
those are being used for?
Well, everybody has a car, so, you know.
They're estimating them,
That's what they've got on
25,000.
these figures, is
That's
25,000
probably,
a
that's
year.
probably high.
If
I would say that's
they
high.
drive their own vehicle, right?
Right, but, right, they have their own vehicle, they only drive that car when they're working. And there's, and in the policy, part of our policy is that if they live in the city limits, they can drive the car,
Oh,
as long as they make themselves available for a call or something like that, but, and, I mean, of course, they can stop at the store on their way home, but I would think 25,000 is kinda high.
Well, on one of these profiles that they submitted, they got information from us. We have 24 full-size sedans with an average year of 8.5 years old and a little over 11,000 miles a year is what they're basing that on.
How old is our fleet of cars nowadays?
We've got some that are a little over 10 years old.
Say it again?
We have some that are a little over 10 years old, and those are the ones that we're trying to replace.
So after if you replace these 4 that you're asking for, then where does it go to now? 7? We got 7 years on them?
Probably 7 or 8. I mean, it's just, I mean, but we can't, I mean, we're gonna have to buy some cars every year. I mean, we're just gonna have to do that. Have to find a way to do that.
But it wouldn't necessarily have to be 4 every year, could it?
Yeah,
what he's
trying to-
saying is
We're
that
trying to catch up.
Yeah, I
our
understand.
end point's gonna be, we're gonna be paying on 28 cars, and that, you know, that,
Well, if you just keep the revolving door,
well, that,
to every year in the budget.
We have
So out of whack.
We have 13 vehicles that are an 07 or below.
What's in the budget this year for cars?
In the budget we're in right now, we don't have anything
Okay.
as far as purchasing.
Basically, you're talking about a $200,000, eventually it's gonna be a $200,000 increase in our budget that,
In the coming budgets, that's correct. If we want, well, depending on if we bought two
might
cars
be
or
3 or
four.
4 years down the
Yeah.
road, but eventually we're gonna be paying that kind of money for cars or a little more than that because of, you know.
Dump it in the drug fund?
Well, you can, but that's a one-time.
No, I'm saying now.
They don't wanna use the drug.
I don't know what exact amount we have in there, but we just got one today that we're replacing that was wrecked. And our insurance gave us $10,000 on it, and it cost us $19,000 additional money for that, for $29,000 on that vehicle. What you got in there?
Or that you spend.
Yeah, $100,000.
Well, see, my thing, you had a surplus last year with your city courts. Now that you can't, you know, and this year you're gonna have a surplus in there. So, I mean, I think we can buy the 4 cars and then try to implement, you know, 2 cars on a rotating every year basis. I mean, because you're gonna really have a good surplus this year if things keep going the way they're going.
Well, it looks to me like it's pretty break even on the money after
It
5
is.
years.
It is.
And I would rather see us keep the money in town. You know Enterprise is making money on this. They wouldn't be doing it if they weren't making money.
The interest rate at the local, at the one that gave us the best quote is 3.29%.
Or are y'all coming back to us with it?
Well, we just discussing it right now on the agenda under old business. You'll vote yes or no or whatever.
Well, I think he needs to have an answer tonight because we
Well,
voted
that's
on
what I'm
this
saying.
last time.
You'll have that on your agenda for old business to vote on it.
The cars that you are saying, you know, we put them on govdeals.com and try to recoup some of the money? Or would you keep them 4
We'll
cars?
sell them, but we won't, I mean, we may make $600-700 a piece if we're lucky.
So your intentions are what? Just keep them in service?
No, if they are, have exceeded their life, we're gonna, I don't see them in keeping them.
You know,
Could you have folks here?
It's an advertisement too for the city. I mean, you see, somebody sees a city police car that, you know, that doesn't have any hubcaps and it looks like it's, you know.
Looks
And
tough.
even though those cars are old, we try and, Glenn's real good about letting us go and get the hood painted on them, and just so they do not look so
Right.
bad.
I've never seen that as an issue. They all.
No. But you know how old they are.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Yeah. I look at, I see those Crown Vics, when was the last time they made one of those?
But you said, Glenn, you're trying to purchase what? Tell me.
Ford.
Ford, but what kind of car are we trying to purchase?
These will be Ford Explorers.
Explorer.
Yeah. The Dodge Chargers, they have not been very good
Yeah,
to
you've been
us.
saying that for years.
Yeah. So we're not going back to those. We've got one Ford Explorer that we've had on the road now a couple of years. And like I said, we've got another one today to replace, was that a Charger that was wrecked or a Crown Vic?
Charger.
A Charger, so.
Evidently, y'all used to sell them cars at public auction?
Pardon?
They used to sell them.
We do it through Gov Deals online, and we average about $500 for those vehicles. Is what we usually
Well, my
get.
last question is, since you got one back from the insurance company, you still need to get 4 new cars?
Yeah, because yeah, absolutely. I've got the 2 people in the police academy, we don't have anything for them.
Well, I remember saying.
Second thing I've got for you that's also on the agenda, but wanted to discuss it prior to getting there, is Bert and I, we know that we've got a budget for a residential trash truck in the coming budget year. Our residential trash truck, our newest one, is 12 years old, starting to have problems with it. And to expedite this process, once you order it, it takes upwards to 180 days before we get it. So if we ordered one in July, once the budget comes in place, it could be December, January before we get it this time next year. So the group has asked us if we could write a letter of intent, which would be our intent that we're going to order one and have it in our budget. So what we're looking at is a residential garbage truck. The highest cost is $279,532. The lowest cost is $254,410. This truck is a little different from what we have, and you may have seen them down on the coast, you may have seen them in other cities. Instead of taking the carts and wheeling them to the back and attaching them and picking them up and putting them in the bin, it has an arm on the side that picks up and puts it in the truck that way. That's what it's going to today, is that type of mechanism. We're not looking to buy this truck this month. We're not looking for it to buy next month. We just want to let the vendor know that we're going to budget one in the coming year, and they will put us on the list, and as they come available, it could be one come available July, and they can ship it to us. If we wait to July to do anything, it may be January of next year before we get it, and the one we got is pretty rough shape right now.
Do we only have the one?
We have actually three, don't we, Bert?
We got two residential trucks, but one of them's a 98, and then, like I said, the newest one's a 2007, and we really need one
Yeah.
sooner than later. I mean, we've gotten good life out of this one. When it's 12 years old, you imagine how many cans that thing is dumped. But
So what's your intentions for when you purchase the brand new one? What you gonna do with this one?
it will become the spare.
So the other two,
Oh,
you
it'll
got,
be the spare.
so the other two, you got at the service department. What we doing with that?
See, that's the problem we have now. The spare truck we have now is really, it's no good.
It's 20 years old. It's the first one we ever bought.
So now we're getting in a situation where if we break down during the day, we're having to sit and wait, trying to get our truck fixed, or it might be the next day before we can go back out and catch up. Because, you know, the truck is just, it's really past its life.
Well, do, I mean, does our budget?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It won't be purchased out of this budget, and all we needing, and it's on the agenda also as well.
See, what takes so long, you buy a chassis, and you have to have that truck shipped to another builder. They build the body and put it on there. So that's why, you know, it could, you know, when I first started talking to them, if you can't find the truck on the ground, it'll take up to 475 days to get one. There's people waiting right now, it's been waiting over a year to get one.
It's longer than a fire truck.
Yeah. Takes time.
If you don't mind, how much money have we put into the one that we're gonna replace? Because I've seen in the agenda, we've been putting money in. How much money have we?
We just spent about $15,000 last month on it. And they did some work to the packer on the inside. We probably spent $20,000 in it in the last 3 months. Cylinders, things like that. We've had a pretty rough year with
You ain't
maintenance.
gonna get into your bucket truck right now.
Sir,
You're not gonna get into your bucket truck situation right now.
it's been a challenging year as far as maintenance, equipment maintenance.
You want to hold off on that for the agenda item?
Yeah, we won't vote on that until it comes to the agenda item.
Yeah, going back to the police cars, you buying 4 of them for 100,000, is that what you said?
No, sir. We will buy 4 for a total of $32,000.
A piece,
$32,000 a year for 4 years. For 5 years, what's that? $160,000
But they'll be paid for at the end of that?
at the end of 5 years. Yes, sir.
You know, if we just bought them outright, for a year, 130,000, and had that part of our budget, but didn't turn it over at 5 years, turned it over at 7 years, then you know, we wouldn't reach that 196, 200,000 mark. You understand what I'm saying? You know, if we turn it over every 5 years, then we're gonna go from 130 to 196,000. But those things will last 7 years, won't they?
Sure. I would not have an issue with, if we could, if we could get 2 a year,
Well, 2 a year is 14 years, and you're not gonna be able to maintain your, you know, 3 a year would be 9 years.
I think 2 a year because it's a revolving door. I mean, you can't.
But what I'm saying is that if it's 2 a year, you're gonna replace that one in 14 years.
I understand what you're saying.
So if you do it 3 a year, then it's 9 years that you would, you know, that's not awful, but probably, 4 a year would turn it back to a 7-year turnaround, and that probably is more realistic.
Well, if based on, if these averages are correct that was in this report, and I'm using 12,000, I think it said 11,000, if it's 12,000 miles a year, you know.
7 years is 77,000.
You know, less than 100,000
Let's say
miles.
it's a 7-year-old car with 77,000 miles on it, it's gonna get you more than got 500 or 1,000 bucks. You're gonna get some money back out of that. If you get a 14, 15-year-old car, you're not gonna get it.
No, you're right. Absolutely.
That to me makes more sense. Maybe you need 3 right now, but if we could budget so that we were replacing those 3 at a time, then, you know, we could catch it, you know, not catch up, but this is funding that depreciation. This is, we've kind of gotten into a position now where all of a sudden we're gonna need a bunch of cars.
Well, we have,
I don't think we need a bunch of cars. I just think that, you know, he's just trying to replace his Ford. And I think that catches you up to a point where you're not so far out. You know,
it catches us up, but
You gotta be on a
like I
program.
said last
I'm not
meeting,
denying
we
what
need
you're
to
saying,
have,
Dr. Watson. You got to rotate and get cars, you know.
we've got to have some kind of plan to replace.
Right, I
And
understand
what I'm
that.
trying to do is, you know, have a program where you don't,
I understand what you're trying to
don't
do.
all of a sudden have $150,000 you gotta come up with. You've got something that you know you're gonna have year in, year out, and you can budget for it, and you're ready.
And I think that's what Chief Lane's trying to do is we implement that, you know, then we'll catch up eventually. We haven't been doing that over time. You come out, hey, I need 4 cars. You know, but like you said, Dr. Watson, if we do it, the way
I
you're
just
saying.
think the crisis spending, you know, we got a
and that's what
crisis.
our plan would be for the coming year is to budget, whether it's 2, 3, or 4, depending on what our revenue stream expenses are gonna be on those. But we'll, as far as motions or whatever you're
You
gonna
need
do
a
with
motion to have a letter of intent.
not right now, we will later on on the agenda under old business for police cars and under new business for, the intent of purchasing a residential trash truck. The last thing I have, and this is for Council Member Ms. Manning and the Mayor, Mayor Davis. Your last meeting is April 8th or 9th, whatever that meeting in April, that would be your last meeting. The election is April the 2nd. They will take office, the new folks will take office May the 13th. So you have 2 more meetings.
Why'd you bring that up?
Just so I can let them know. Yeah, so they will know. And have that in their mind, what takes place.
That was your last one.
That's all I have at this point.
Janet?
On our general fund, in our operating account, we have $209,628. In our depreciation account, $535,369. We are at 44%, where normally this time of the year we would be at 58%, and that's due to taxes and business license. On our expenses, we're at 66%. Normally we should be at 58%, so we're a little high, about 8% more than what we normally would be.
Well, that says, the end of January,
the end of January, that's correct.
but you said you got some tax money.
We did, we just got some in, that's correct. So that, it'd be different in the next report. In our water and sewer, we have, our total operating accounts, $1,710,631. We are at, in our revenues, we are at, 68%, which is, 10% more than where we normally would be at this time of the year. Our expenses are at 55%, which, 3% less, which is a good thing there. In our golf,
Why is our revenues up?
Well, we increased our
Oh,
rates
yeah,
compared to last year.
Okay.
then,
Do we increase it by that percent?
Well, we increased it by 5%.
So what's it, 130, yeah, it's about 5%, a little better than 5%. Yeah, about 7%. So we are having some increased usage. That was my point.
Yeah.
okay, then we got the golf course. We're at 55% there, 3% less in revenues, and we're at 58% on our expenses on that. And the county will give our check Friday. I spoke with them, and they're going to get the check for Friday. Our 2% fund account, $636,170. We made our payment for 2019. We made that for January. So, and it looks like we may, at the end of our fiscal year, may have 20,000 more than we collected last year.
On what fund?
2%.
2%, where is that in this?
It should say, it looks like it's right, it should say 2% on that front cover sheet. When we have 6 years remaining on that debt for the wellness.
6 years, 6 more payments, that's unbelievable.
So that's pretty much it.
Wow. We experiencing a significant amount of drop in our attendance due to the new
We
place.
have. Our rates are basically the same.
Yeah.
We have gathered, or we have recouped some of those that left us back in October, November. Some of them have come back. The reasoning is it's a lot more space, and not as...
Is there any equipment purchases that
We're looking at some additional ones that have been suggested to us from those folks that have been there and coming back. So we would probably do something there in the next month or so. Look at those and see what we can do as far as what the cost of those would be.
some of those things have TV screens and mounted on their individual?
Some do, ours don't.
Yeah.
What we have, we don't have that because we don't, we're not set up.
Yeah, they're
to do
CNN
that.
people, they're Fox people.
Yeah.
They want to watch their own.
Yeah, we have, I think they have that on what the 3 or 4 TVs we have on different ones, so. And if it's not on, they usually tell us we can turn it to that.
But can you hear it though when you run?
No, they've got it on a closed caption.
The revenues on the general fund, you said down from last year, why?
Taxes.
All the taxes have
Taxes.
come in, yeah. Slow process this year.
But they would have been in the same time as comparing it in 18.
Well, they did not, no.
What's the same as they did come in, they just didn't make it.
And last year, if memory serves me correctly, we collected a lot more in November and December than we did this past November and December.
But no reason to think that they.
Oh, no, yeah. Because now, well, now it's been over a month now, now there's penalties assessed.
Oh, no.
Not all.
That's,
Okay. Citizens report, anything anybody want to bring their attention out to the arts? Not going forward, old business, which we discussed purchase of 4 police cars. We have a motion for the, go ahead and,
I'll make a motion.
Second.
all in favor? Opposed?
We're gonna do it
All right, now you got a motion to purchase, but how are we purchasing?
To the bank.
Bank.
Okay,
Bank,
All right.
yeah.
which that would be, get my notes again. First Bank, I believe, yes, First Bank.
All right, so we've done that. New business, CDBG pump station grant bid approval. Anything you want to go over that? I think those were.
Yeah, just real quickly, there were seven bidders back in December. High bid was $1,168,526. Low bid was $698,248, which was with Frankhorn Construction. They've done several jobs for us. And this is to redo two lift stations, one that's located on Highway 34 at the Armory. That one's going to be redone, relocated on the same property, but having a new lift station there. And the one on McKenzie Court, which is behind the Dillon High Football Stadium, by one of those apartment complexes. That one also is going to be redone and rebuilt or new at another location right beside where the existing one is. These are two of the oldest lift stations in our system. And just to give you an idea, the city's matching for this, which totals $733,000 of money that we got from CDBG. $120,000 is our match for that grant.
We're gonna be all right with that?
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones that did this, and yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine there.
How do we know what kind of work the lowest bidders to ever do?
Well, like I said, he's done work for us
But he's the
before.
one that's recommending, you know, we do this. That's the
Yeah.
problem I got.
Well, Horn,
built Love's.
yeah, he did our lift station out on Highway 34 at Love's Travel Center. Yeah, that's what, I thought I mentioned that he has done several jobs for us in the past. Yeah. So we knew that one. In fact, four of the seven have done work for us in the past and done good work.
So since it's not, our match will be lower than one, because he's not taking the whole 700.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the $733,000 also includes grants, administration, and engineering fees and all that. So, and then, you know, a portion of ours after the 733, we will owe 120,000 above that. So in essence, it's a project that is $900,000. All total, 120 is our match.
All right, have a motion for that bid.
I make a motion.
Have a second. All in favor? Opposed? All right, on the letter of intent for the residential trash truck, we'll go ahead and order.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Councilmember reports, Mr. Ellis.
Yeah, I want to go back to the facade grants. I know we've been talking about it here lately with the upfit, the two, we got the upfit grants first. Are we trying to put some pressure on them?
Yes.
We're asking the business owners to fix their buildings up now. Are we asking them to try to get the buildings up to code?
The two original ones?
Yes.
Yes. I've had a conversation with both of them. Benny's had a conversation with both of them, and we're trying to put fire to their feet. And then the two upfit grants that were awarded this past fall, one of them's already completed. Dr. Hooker at Kentire House has completed his roof work, so that one is done.
All right, I don't do this much, but I want to, Dr. Machado, the general surgeon at the hospital here, his son made the Washington spelling bee.
Oh, good.
And I wanted to let the citizens out here know that that's Dr. Majado's son, and he won the state, and now he's going to Washington DC. So, that's an outstanding accomplishment.
And he also participates in our youth sports program.
Yes, he does.
That's good.
Coaching the soccer. And lastly, Darius Leonard, another one of our citizens. He made the all defensive. He made the pro
Rookie of the year.
Yeah, rookie of the year. So I want to acknowledge him too.
Yeah, he's been out to several basketball
He
games.
has.
He's got a nephew that plays in our league.
Yeah, I spoke to him at the basketball game the other night. real good guy. So I just wanted to acknowledge him. All right, Mr. Mayor.
I'll start out, since you're acknowledging people, I want to congratulate Todd on his tenure and his recognition by the chamber. I think that's well deserved. Janet, the digital sign that we're talking about, I know with the accommodations tax money, you can't do brick and mortar stuff with it, but we're paying for billboards out on the interstate with that money. Could we not use some
We
of that
could.
money for that digital sign?
We could use that, anything that's based tourism with that, we could use that.
We advertise events,
We could.
tournaments, that kind of thing.
We
I
could
think
use our local accommodation tax, state accommodation tax, or hospitality tax
Yeah.
money. We could do one of three of those.
To me, that makes sense to do that. I'd like to see us look into doing it that way. That might speed up that process. Talking about the sewer work, I see the pipes still sitting out at the tech school. Are they?
That is through our RIA grant, waiting for it to dry out.
Okay.
In fact, we requested an extension on it because it was supposed to be completed by 1st of May. I think now they're getting us to the end of June, if memory serves me. Hopefully, if all goes well, they'll start the 1st of April. He thinks it'd take him 30 days to do that.
I really like the way the facade grant signs look downtown. I think that was a wonderful idea.
I think that was Ms. Bridget's idea there, and
Yeah.
worked out well.
I think that really will let people see the before and after and point out the work that we are doing. So I congratulate you on that idea, really. That's all I
Yeah,
have.
it probably brings a lot of recognition.
It does.
That was Benny's idea. I don't want to take credit for that, but that was Benny.
We'll give you
Good
credit.
job.
And
City effort.
I thought I saw Benny out there painting those signs.
Laughing the whole time.
Yeah. He wasn't chasing people down the sidewalk.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
I just want to congratulate our Mary Hemp for the Citizen of the Year award and Miss Bridget on her service award of the year. That she got the other night too. That's all I have.
And the last thing, while we're on that, Bill and his crew with the Methodist Men. Can't remember what that was.
That was the Duke Energy Citizenship Award. That was really a nice.
I've gone out there with them before, and I think y'all been recognized by WPDE, a number of areas, and the lives that they change and what they do, building those wheelchair ramps. And they build them first class. And they probably do one I helped with, I think was 30 or 40 feet one day. It was one of your bigger
That's a long
ones.
one.
It was a long
Yeah.
one. And they were done in 2 hours, 2.5 hours at the most. Where if you had to go out and buy that, do that, I mean, you're significant money you're gonna put out of pocket. But that's making a difference. And, yeah, hats off to your crew.
We have a good time doing it, really do.
That's all I have.
I'm good. I just, my little girls just loved the dance. They just came in pumped. I'm sorry that our digital imprint on the internet doesn't include things like that.
It's going to.
Things like downtown dances, things like the Little League basketball. We've just got so many good things that go on here. We had a little golf tournament for the Super Bowl, and I mean there were 50 cars in that parking lot on Sunday night. You know, just we've got great life here, and we just people that I have an opportunity in my business to see people from Wyman Gordon and people like that live in Florence, Singer. they looked on the internet and they saw how awful our crime was and all that. You know, it just does us an injustice. I mean, we've got crime, everybody's got crime, but that's all you see on ours. So maybe we could work, Bridget, maybe you could help us with that, fix that.
We're working on it.
Thank you. All right, that's all I have.
Well, one of my pet peeves always been, the man said a visual of Main Street, the visual of the neighborhood. And, I took some pictures of the neighborhood, that this is how some homes have been remodeled, and this is just how they left it. Now, they left this here on Friday. When they left work on Friday, that's how, instead of cleaning up behind themselves, they just leave it laying out,
Blow around.
and then it's blowing all over the neighborhood.
Where is that?
That's,
That First Avenue?
yeah, going to where they go
Yeah,
school,
yeah.
those little houses right there, they just leave it, they just drive off instead of cleaning up as they go along.
That's all.
If you could check on that and see how they do, there's a lot of places that they do.
Is that the area where it
That was one of my
flooded?
things, just to clean up the, clean up.
That's
how
right
they
past
do.
our shop, I think.
Right there in the area that flooded during the hurricane.
Right in there with the churches. That's right.
Probably putting those houses on stilts.
And they just drive off, leave the boxes, the trash, and it just blows across the field. And that was just one of my good things. And then, Glenn, East Regional Softball League had asked you about, a field in the back part of the park.
We're trying to work on that, see if we can get them something there to play this year.
This year, that'll be good.
That's what we're trying for.
I'll let them know that.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right, we have nothing else.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Thank y'all for all coming.
Anything else, Joel?